We have a wonderful group from Sanford, which is great. And I know we have Monson and up in the Katahdin region, Millinocket. Hi, Gemma. And I believe we have some other communities here as well. So thank you all for coming to the information session. And it'd be great if you could keep yourself on mute, but I'm also open to questions if you need to ask something or put in the chat. So as I said, I'm Ann Ball from Maine Development Foundation, and I oversee the Maine Downtown Center. I'm going to start to share my screen right now. Great. And if you are just arriving, it would be great if you would put your name and your organization in the chat for us. Great. So you should all be seeing my screen. Joanna, I will count on you to tag team with me if I miss anything important in the chat. So many of you have groups that are focusing on your downtowns at some level, and they are in various forms of being organized, and you're here today just to hear about the application process. In some communities, I've already spoken about what the affiliate program is in great detail with meetings with those communities already, and this is kind of part 2, which is what does the application process look like? And then in some other communities, I haven't spoken to your community, and I am welcome to, I'd be glad to do that at any time if you would like to do that. It's okay to do these 2 meetings in reverse. So today we're just going to talk about the application process of becoming a Downtown Center affiliate. These are our sponsors, which we always like to acknowledge, and I think it's interesting for you guys to see who is supporting our work statewide. And I'm got just a few quick intro slides that those of you who have visited your communities already have seen these, but I want to just ground everybody in the fact that this program here in Maine, both our Main Streets and our affiliate program, began at the National Trust for Historic Preservation in 1977 as a demonstration project, and it is now really over 41-year-old program that is really historic preservation based and asset based economic development. And this is kind of how it works within the National Trust. There is a National Main Street Center, which is a subsidiary, and then Main Street America is kind of their front facing program. And then there are statewide coordinators, of which the Maine Downtown Center is a state coordinator here in Maine. And we have been that way for 20 years here in Maine. And then in Maine, we have 10 local Main Street organizations, and we have 15 downtown affiliates. And here's the map of the United States. They are all over the place. It is a known brand. If you travel, our Office of Tourism recognizes the value of our Main Streets to the brand in Maine, having authentic, vibrant downtowns to visit. There are over 2,000 of them as in part of this large family. And here are our main programs, our main map, if you will. We have 10 Main Streets, as I said, and then 15 affiliates. GAMSA stands for the Great American Main Street Award. It is a very high honor that comes from the national level, and Bath was named a GAMSA winner. I forget which year actually, but there you go. And Sanford was in our program, and so was Millinocket. And sometimes communities do come in and out for one reason or another, but it's okay. We certainly welcome you back in when it works. And a reminder that our mission is really creating places of shared prosperity, equal access to opportunity, and inclusive engagement through this asset-based and historic preservation-based approach. And the benefits of membership, which are also important to think about. So coordinating program, CDBG bonus points, which those of you who work for municipalities will appreciate if you apply for downtown revitalization funds through the CDBG program at our Office of Community Development. You get bonus points. We are in the middle of doing our assessments of our local main streets starting next week. And we continually are seeking funding for all the programs. Great. So I'm going to dive in. If you have questions, do not hesitate to put them in the chat for me. I would love to answer them as I go. This is meant to be an exchange and not sort of a formal presentation. And you could also take yourself off mute. Our group can handle that. We have 29 people here today, so I can handle that as well. And for those of you who joined me after I started, it'd be great if you want to put your name and your organization in the chat, just so that we can see who was able to make it. So as I said, many of you have groups either within an organization or a municipality or an economic development corporation that are focused on your downtowns, and having those cross-sector groups that are focused on this work is absolutely the baseline requirement for moving forward with the application process. So we're going to dive right into the application process. The applications are due October 1st of 2021. And then we have a team from our advisory council, which is an amazing group of everything from engineers and planners and architects and community development professionals and historic preservation professionals that make up this amazing advisory council. And we typically have a couple members of our staff at MDF, and then usually 3 advisory council members make up the review of applications. And we spend a good part of the month doing that. We also will schedule a site visit, which is a big part of the application process. And the site visits will be scheduled in November. And I'm seeing a few questions in the chat. Let me just see. Oh, okay, thanks. People letting me know that they're here. Thanks for doing that. So the site visit, we will get into what that involves, but that typically takes place in November. And then out of that comes a wonderful report about your existing conditions in your community, in your program, the opportunities that exist, and even ideas for things that could be improved or things that you could work on in your first 3 years in the program. We will do a formal notification. If we need revisions, it would also take place in this period, but we notify communities ultimately if they're invited into the program in January or February. And then we start scheduling trainings, and I'll go into some of that in a little bit. And then we do a communications plan announcing the program and through the press, and we've done it different ways. So we'll talk about that. So I'm going to link out to the application on our website just so you can see it. Joanna, would you tell me if you're not following my linking here? Let's see. Okay. So the application is right in here. We have a timeline, which you just saw. We have the application itself and instructions for the application. I just wanted to quickly show you the application. It's an online application, pretty easy. And things that you need to include are these 9 things. So it's a lot of narrative, and often the committees that are working on this divide up these tasks. And then there's a team of 1 or 3 people that focus on how it looks all together. But typically the communities that have come in recent years have, like I said, divided up the tasks. And Joanna put in the chat this link to the application. There is an application fee of $150, and you can pay it online, or we can invoice you. We do want a lead contact person that we can contact for arranging the site visit and things like that. And then we have lots of attachments. And the attachments, I'm going to show you an actual application so you will see. But the photos, a budget summary, and narrative describing that, things like that. And there's a way to upload it right here. So that's the application. It's really simple. It's a narrative and then a bunch of attachments, as well as who the person is. So hold on. Great. So are there any questions yet on what I have shared with you? And just like I said, don't hesitate to. Okay, great. So I'd like to go over some items that I have in a folder that I'm going to share with you because I think it helps to get into a few other pieces of information. Okay, so in 2021, we actually put out a call for applications. This is on our website, and it is really a summary of the program. For those communities I have visited, you're certainly aware of these 4 points. You should see this. The organization, design, promotion, an overview of the affiliate program, and some priority points for 2021. And then here's that same list of what is required to submit with the application. So that is on our website right there, and as well as a list of services. So that is easy. Okay. I have to kind of go in and out of sharing. And then the next thing, which is usually really useful for this meeting, is to take a look at an actual application. And this is where it kind of gives you a real perspective of, oh, this is what this is supposed to look like. So I'm sharing Hollowell's application from 2018. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Let's see, is someone able to mute themselves? Perhaps. Okay, if everybody could put themselves on mute, that would be great. So the list of stakeholders is really key. I'm just gonna, there we go. Sorry, I just had to mute somebody. So the list of key stakeholders is really important. This is helpful to see if you have a cross section of people involved on your downtown committee or your group that is applying. You need to really think about having someone from the municipality, someone from small businesses, someone from who is a resident of the community and or a resident of the downtown. Maybe some other stakeholder nonprofit partners. You can see in Hollowell, they listed all the committees a lot of the people were on and things like that, which was great. Again, they had their city manager, but sometimes it's, you know, other staff, whether it's economic development or planning. I know a couple of years ago, I met with a group in Sanford and they had their public works director, which is a great person to have on your team. So whatever works, but the big thing is to make it a diverse group, cross-sector group of people in your committee. A description of your community, both historically and you know what it is today, is grounds the group that's reviewing these applications. And photographs, which is, again, these tasks are often divided up among the committee submitting the application. And this happened to be when there was a lot of construction going on in Hollowell, which was really challenging for them. Photographs of their downtown from all different viewpoints. They did it early in the morning when there were no cars, which was great. We could see the width of the sidewalks and see what the buildings looked like if this happens to be where our offices are. So we know what it looks like, but it helps in case people haven't been to your town. Some open space with outdoor seating that they represented in their application as being important to the narrative of their downtown and the access to the trail systems, and other parks. So their library happens to be downtown, and their town hall, and then the interior of their town hall, which is a space that is used quite a lot, not in non-pandemic years. And public art, they felt like that was really important part. And then they have underutilized space, vacant storefronts, right, for rent. And that's okay. This application is really meant to be honest. It's not like you're accepted into the program because everything is working. You're actually looking to this program to help you with issues like this. And this is a really important issue. We get a lot of questions like, what's our downtown? What is our Main Street or our affiliate district? And that is something that communities spend a lot of time thinking about. They may look at zoning maps. They may look at comprehensive plans and how that describes the geography of the community. But what is your core downtown district? And we have communities where they say, well, people are like, well, I want to be in the district. And people like, I don't want to be in the district. And it's not really a district that has anything attached to it except for focus for the downtown affiliate organization at this point. So I think you have to give thought to where you're going to draw it. And I'm just going to continually say it needs to be core focus. That is your core downtown business district. We've had communities that have drawn their districts crazy big, and we have asked them in the application process, we really think you should focus it in. You can grow it later, but start with a district that's the right size for your work in the beginning years. It's very important. It doesn't mean you can't promote a business that's outside of the district or another partner who's outside of the district, but really your focus is on promoting that core district. And I'm happy to have conversations with you about your individual community and what your district may look like. So this is pretty typical that we have maps that come in looking like this, focusing on what that district is. We really want to hear what your vision is and whether that's a formal statement, this happens to be a formal statement, or whether it is your committee getting together saying, well, this is what we want for downtown, or this is what we see as our challenges. We want to know why you want to be in the program and what you think you can get out of it and why it makes sense for you. Budgets for affiliates are relatively modest. We did do a budget survey of our affiliates a few years ago, and the budgets typically for an affiliate are usually, I would say, around $10,000 to about $30,000. But we do have a couple of affiliates that actually have part-time staff. So theirs are different than that. But I would say on average, it's roughly a budget between $10,000 and $30,000 a year. This is a pretty reasonable split here. They are looking at some sponsorships and grants and miscellaneous donations. They're showing pretty aggressively getting their budget up in year 3 to quite a bit bigger than it was in year 1. But then they're able to also, at the same time as planning a budget, say, like, what are they going to do in those years? Are they having events? Are they working with other partners? In the case of Hollowell, they were working with our age-friendly community on certain things. They were using public art. Dues and membership, that's their $500 that's as a fee, annual fee to the main downtown center to help with implementing this program. And I'll talk about that in a minute. So that's a great example of a good budget. We ask for a letter of commitment that comes from the organization where the affiliate body will sit, whether it's within an economic development corporation, whether it's a committee of the municipality, or whether it's a standalone nonprofit. We want a letter of commitment. And that is the application. Great. Any questions on that application that I just shared with you? I will make sure that we either, I'll figure it out with Joanna, whether we put all these items on our website as sample application materials or whether we email them to you. I don't have that quite straight in my head. I can also pop them in the chat here, but that's not always easy for everybody, especially if you're on the phone. So let's talk about the site visit for a second. It's really exciting, and I certainly hope that in the fall we will be able to do a site visit. We did not have any applicants this fall. We did not even hold an open application in 2020. So I'm going to share an, let's see. Okay, whoops, sorry. I just made it smaller, bear with me. There we go. So we typically come with that great sort of advisory council, cross-sector expertise. We usually have someone who's an architect, we have someone who's definitely representing historic preservation, someone who really understands the Main Street 4-point approach, which, as you remember, is promotion, economic vitality, oh gosh, what am I doing? A good organization. And we bring representatives of kind of all of those bodies of work. And we meet your group, which usually is a group anywhere from 10 to 20 people. And we meet with them. We do a walking tour for usually, I'd say 90 minutes, having you show us your downtown and having us, we usually come for a little pre-walk before our site visit with you, but we have lunch together and talk about findings. In the case of, this is Ellsworth site visit, they took us to Union River for Innovation, which was just outside of their downtown, but it's an innovation center that they were working with. And then we kind of in the moment share findings, but then we ultimately put that in a written report. It's a fun event. I'd say it usually takes about 4 hours, 4.5 hours if we're sharing a meal together. And it's, again, just such a great opportunity to be on the ground in your community with you. And then the good news is that when the site visit is over, we come back to you with a summary report. It may have additional questions like, have you thought about, partnering with these people? Do you have a historic district? Have you met with the Preservation Commission? Have you thought about having certified local government? Have you thought about pop-ups? All sorts of ideas. Just spilling those ideas back out. There may be some revisions on the application. Like I said, we have specifically asked organizations to, we had one organization where they were a nonprofit, but their bylaws had some funny language in it, and we felt like they really needed to change it. We usually don't get into that level, but I don't remember what the issue was, except that we were like, you really need to change this. We have asked organizations to change their district boundaries because it's too much for them to take on, in our opinion. Let's see, what else? Yeah, those are the basic issues. I'm looking over a report sample, and those are kind of it. Sometimes it's lack of clarity about a relationship from an organization and their municipality. How are they going to work together? And the biggest thing that I think we ask people to revise, which we've tried to be more explicit in our application, is like, why do you want to come into this program? We really want to get a good understanding of what you think it's going to do. So those reports are great. And then I mentioned that there's an annual dues, and it's based on population. If you are a community that is under 4,999, it's $500 a year. If you're between 5,000 and 7,499, it's $750 a year. And if it's 7,500 population and greater, it's $1,000 a year. Our main streets also pay $1,000 a year. And just so you know, our dues have not been raised in 10 years. So it's a deal. It's well worth it. You will get 4 trainings in your first year. Those trainings with the organization are typically on the 4-point approach, but they're also on specific needs you may have. We have an affiliate right now who is really trying to work on partnerships and engagement with those partners, and how do they be a good partner in the community. And so we're doing a special workshop with them on that. We another work plan session. We've worked with Hollowell 2 years in a row, helping them develop a work plan. What's reasonable for an all-volunteer organization to take on in this program that will move their downtown forward and bring people together and have good design ideas for a tiny budget, right? You know, what's reasonable? Because everybody wants to do everything, but that's not possible. So that's the dues, and that's the training. And the other thing we do right out of the gate, which is the last screen I'm going to share, and then we're going to open it up for a little bit more discussion, is we do a little unveiling. So we can't always go to a community and do like a live press conference. So the last time we brought communities on, we said, here's your certificate. As you can see, I think that's Judy Paradis on the left, who was a representative in the main house holding the certificate, and then they're holding letters for Caribou. And this went out with the press packets that we sent out, the press release, and we did it for the 3 communities that came on at once, and they each did their own picture holding their certificate, and it was so much fun. So we might do something like that again, but we do try to just make the press release and the notification to all of our statewide partners that this community has joined the program and kick it off with a bang. So that's how we did that in Caribou. So that is the application process in a super speedy presentation. So my question is, what questions do you have? I have lots of materials to share with you. What did I miss? And do you feel like you have good local teams to start formulating this application? You know, some of you have bigger teams than others, and we'll have, you know, can share the workload. Gemma.
And by the time we apply,
yes, Mary.
All of these committees should be in place, and all of our plans should be in place, or like, how does that timeline really work?
Well, I would say that you need to have one committee in place, one group, a cross-sector group that is devoted to working on your downtown. I think that's all an affiliate needs to have in place. Our main streets have 4 standing committees, but our affiliates often have one committee, and they can still work within, you know, the methodology of the 4-point approach. So you just need to have one committee. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah, and the timeline is you need that in place. That's a big part of being ready to apply and to enter the program, is to have that one committee in place. And you know, many of you have committees or have strong organizations that are already you know, well and working in this sphere. So you just need to make sure that there's a group meeting.
Okay.
Gemma, you had a question.
Yeah, so Monson has a population of 660 people.
Right.
So what's the smallest affiliate town's population that you've had so far?
I think it's Eastport, and it's about 1,200, I believe. So you would be the smallest, but you're not the smallest in the country. There are others that are as small as Monson. And, you know, as you know, Maine is a rural state. So we have are used to working, obviously, with small communities, but you would be the smallest for Maine. You could have that prize. Nationally, I have been to national conferences and seen communities of 500, and it would be really interesting to connect with those communities and see how they spread the wealth and how they do the work. And, you know, we don't have all the answers in Maine, and just as our affiliates connect with each other, right? We provide those opportunities, whether in person or online. So do we connect nationally with the other coordinating programs. And then as part of being a member to us, you all have access to what's called the National or Main Street America's The Point. So you all have access to all of the peer groups around the country. Like I have a group that I'm with, the coordinating programs. We have meetings quarterly and usually in person at our national conference. And then all of our community programs have online access and trainings and conferences to attend together as well. And if there's something that we don't have the expertise to help you with, we will go find it. You know, we've had communities struggling with transportation issues. And I'm like, well, I'm not the DOT, but I work with the DOT. So let me see how we can bring the DOT together to talk about that issue in your downtown, or whatever the issue may be. Tourism, we do have someone from the Office of Tourism on our advisory council. So yep, you're small but mighty, Gemma. Other questions? And Maura, I know you have been through this before in Sanford, because Sanford was one of our accredited Main Streets years ago.
We were. And then the economic crash of 2008, I think what did we drop off 2010, 12?
I think, believe it or not, it was 2013, because I was at MDF at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Disappointing. We had done a lot of work. We had a lot of events going on, and it just became too much for a small group of people.
Absolutely. It's a lot of work. It's a big commitment, and change does not happen quickly. It's like incrementally. And how do you, you know, it's, as I said, it might've been before you joined, Maura, but I did say to the group that like some communities come in and then they go out, but then they come back.
I heard that part. I got here around 406.
Norway, Maine was a main street
Right.
originally, and Norway is now an affiliate, and they have recognized that the value to them as a community is being in our affiliate program. The stress of having to maintain staff as in a main street, which is one of the requirements, was really tough on them, and they are so happy as an affiliate. So sometimes our affiliates will move on to be a main street, and we love that. The most recent one is Westbrook, but not always. So sometimes it's affiliate.
I will say that was one of the biggest trials for us, was maintaining the funding for a staff member.
Yep.
And our staff member, it was still hard to maintain without, you know, you'd have the biggest struggle we had, I'd say, is you'd look for corporate sponsorship, and you're looking for corporate sponsorship for, you know, the support of the group and the support of the ongoing efforts, everything you do. And we had one company who just wanted to give us money for the giant pumpkin weigh-in, and we're like, but all that money, or a good chunk of it, goes to the winner of the weigh-in. So it was kind of like it wasn't really helpful to us. So that was the hard part, is getting them to see the value in the day-to-day administrative costs.
Yes, and I'd say that it's something that we are getting better at, is in understanding your value at the local level and being able to reflect back to you, whether it's reinvestment statistics or success stories from other communities, so that you can share that with your you know, municipal staff or any other funders, because it's really important that we make it easy for you to be able to do that. You know, most recently, we've been working with Westbrook because they're about to go ask for their annual contribution. And it just has become really apparent that like we need to give all of our local programs the language as well as any statistics. And National is the same way. They have been doing small business surveys since the pandemic started. And we have been obviously trying to encourage Maine small businesses to participate, because it's really important data for us to have statewide. But the outcomes from the data are so helpful and amazing. And so we want to make sure we get that back in our local programs' hands. So it's a great point. Other questions or comments?
You know, Ann, Jim Nyman here.
Hi, Jim.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, one thing with the focus on downtowns, I guess I would just encourage groups to remember to, I think if you have champions in your community for business, whether they're, you know, in our case, in the village of Springvale in our north, if they're in an industrial park in our south, you know, part of the messaging is to let them know what we're up to. Because again, I've been around a long time with this downtown program, you know, and I remember early applications where communities actually drew from their industrial parks to help support the effort. So I think it's a matter of, you know, is this a priority for the community? Are you making it understood, you know, to all your business community? And of course, the focus being enhancing your downtown, but are there others that could be benefactors that want the community to look good comprehensively? So I just throw that out there, not to sort of limit the thinking in terms of what this
Very true.
group might ultimately look like.
Yes, there's no question about that. The data 100% supports that. Specifically, Westbrook, I'll just use it because it's top of mind. You know, having a vibrant downtown with lots to see and do that's walkable really benefits the employees of IDEX. It also benefits the employees of other large employers like Maine Med. So without a doubt, there's reasons to have those conversations outside of the core downtown district. Your core downtown district benefits and is a symbiotic relationship and can be a point of attraction. When we look at mill site redevelopment and a potential mill site being redeveloped and someone bringing in employees from out of state, having that vibrant downtown is really key. So, other questions or comments? Great. So those of you that would like to talk more in depth about what is the affiliate program, what is the methodology, and if I haven't come to your community, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm happy to set up a Zoom meeting to do that with a small group. As I said, most recently, we did have a big public meeting and a small group meeting in Sanford, and we've also had a meeting in Monson, but I know there are many other people on the Zoom today. So we'd be happy to kind of do that. You know, what does it really look like on a day-to-day basis, the structure of the program and the methodology. And like I said, today was really about the application process. If you do not yet have a downtown group formed, I would say you're getting an application done by October, you're going to have to move right along. I would say the shortest I've seen a community kind of come together is about a year. So we're about 10 months, actually almost to the end of January, so 9 months out. But there's nothing wrong with, you know, having those conversations. So, all right, I just want to make sure there's no one else that wants to chime in. As I said, I thought today would take about 45 minutes to 50 minutes, and we're at 41. So I always like to end meetings early, but I am also happy to stay on Zoom and answer questions. But I'm going to take one last look around the screen. Make sure I'm not missing anybody. Great, okay. Well, I will adjourn this. I will stay on in case anybody has additional questions. Thank you all for attending. There's so much more we could talk about, but today was just meant to be an overview of the application process. So thanks for coming.
Thank you, Ann.
Thanks,
Bye.
Ann.